Ansumana, can you hear me? I saw one Ansumana. If you can hear me, just say yes, you can. So I just go ahead with this whole stuff. If you are here, can you confirm whether you can hear me or no, please? Can you confirm if you can hear me, please? Those of you that are here already. So, Lamin Base, I'm assuming that you people can hear me, right? If you can hear me, please just confirm. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So the Gambia Police Force, my very dear institution that I love, the institution that I defended, the institution that I will continue to appreciate till the day I will die, just issued a statement saying that they are about to release the detainees. Now, my point from the start of this whole drama is that was it necessary for us to arrive at this situation? Looking at it technically, you understand that it was not necessary. This whole situation could have been avoided. I mean, when the protesters went to the Gambia Police Force building, I've received reports from classified individuals that there was a discussion between the protesters and the investigative or the intelligence unit of the Gambia Police Force. And after they found out that these people who are going to protest are not dangerous, they cannot pose any harm, they cannot compromise the peace and security of the country, and they have made all this finding and then advised the IGP to issue a permit. And the IGP did not issue a permit. Now, my argument from the start of this process is that if the permit had been issued to these protesters 2 days ago, the protest from this initial point was not famous. To be honest, I want to be fair. It was not famous. It was just few people coming together. So it was never going to be more than 2 hours. The protest would have been done and dusted. 2 hours. Just issue them permit, walk along with them for 2 hours. They will issue their statement and go home. Now, there are a lot of contradictions if you look at the situation properly. Number one, you arrested 27 people because you said it's unlawful assembly. There are hundreds or thousands of people in Brikama, in Westfield, in Sukuta, in Wasu. All of these people came out to protest for this same thing. Release the youths, release the list. Why are those people not arrested? Do they have a permit to really come out? So this is the problem. For me, what is happening today is caused by the police management. This could have been avoided. And we have seen similar cases like this happening over and over again. And this boils down from what the youths are complaining, that the sales of those assets, from what the Republic actually published, that there is a conflict of interest. Looking at the relationship between Bartambedo and what's supposed to be a wife, and Bartambedo and other people who are related to him. There is also a clear case of conflict of interest in the work of the police. If you make me as the IGP and you are my brother-in-law, I will do everything to protect you. And that's why his independence is compromised. That's why his actions are only going to be one that will favor the president. Because if not, why would the IGP reject the advice from intelligence officers to issue permit to protesters who are going to pose no harm on the population of the Gambia? These brothers are detained for no good reason. Now there are arguments that the gentleman's life is under severe threat. Who knows what happens to him? Now you dent the entire police force. And as a person who works in an institution like the Gambia Police Force, I know there are good people there. And I swear, I can tell you for certain, there are people who will never agree with what is happening. And there are police officers in that institution. If they can come out, if it is not going to be an ethical issue, they're going to protest against everything that is happening. But are we going to exonerate them? How are we going to identify them in a situation like this? And that's why management decisions are important, because management decisions affect everybody in an institution. I've said it before in an interview I had about the issue of Bintanjai. I don't know this IGP. I've never worked with him. But I've always said the IGP should be measured in every decision he is taking. Now we know the IGP doesn't work alone. We also know that there are DIGs and there are AIGs who advise the IGP. In this case, which is very evident, because the IGP is on a tour, on a nationwide tour. So it's obvious that the request for permit was not sent to the IGP himself. He has not seen it. So the IGP will heavily rely on the advice from the DIG and the AIG of administration. Now what you and I can assume is that if the IGP is not in his office, there should be a DIG who will give a very perfect advice. But how can we easily forget that this DIG is the one who also messed up with the killing of the police from the very interview? Always taking decisions, always talking about things that are not necessary. Geographical locations, compasses, Alpha Bravo. Those are just basic scouting terms that anybody who have done scouting in the upper basic school or the senior secondary school would have known some of those things. A clear information, clear communication, clear publication that will just at least onboarding the heavy load of the population. You could not do it. As a security officer who have witnessed a lot, there are things that obviously I will never say. This is my first time coming out to condemn an act by the Inspector General and all other journalists who had helped him in making our youth suffer. I will repeat again. If a permit was given to these protesters, all these resources that have been wasted, all the times that have been wasted would have been completely avoided. It is simple. Give them the permit, be with them, and so that they move peacefully. In 2 hours, the whole protest would have been over. We are a very forgetful nation. I said it in my post. We are a very forgetful nation. By now, we would have been talking about another thing. Probably talking about the El Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid that is coming on Sunday. I have done 63 models on crisis management and de-escalation. Maybe it is time to tell some of your resume to some of these people who will behind a retired police officer and attack you. And the simplest anybody will be taught is how to study the nature of a protest or a nature of a crisis and be able to at least apply the perfect response to it. If you have ever, even at the very basic level, studied anything about crisis management, you must have seen this. What is the nature of this protest? A simple logic should influence the decision of the management that, look, this is a matter of national interest. There's only a few that is coming out. And they should also understand the history of protests in the Gambia, especially recently. Protests can be popularized on social media. A lot of people can be posting it. But when it comes to actual action of people coming out, only a few will come out. That should have influenced the decision of the management of the police to issue the permit. And apart from the natural reason that people have right to peaceful assembly, these are other factors that security should have considered to issue these people permit and go with them. But no, the DIG will not do that. The IGP will not do that because that's not what they are interested in. You have wasted the time of these young people for 2 good days. Or let me say 3 days. And that's why I told some young people that, look, if you are released by the police today, it's not a favor. It is law that you are not supposed to be detained for 72 hours. We know about the unlawful assembly, and I will never encourage anybody to be violent or to violate the laws of our country. Because yesterday, I was speaking against some of those things, so I cannot change my tongues. But those of you who I have worked with, and I'm sure some of you are watching this, you know my position on a lot of issues, on a lot of arrests that have happened in the past. You know my position. And I wish some of the people that I work with who have in the management can also attest the honest advice, the honest opinion I have given on numerous issues that affected very innocent people in our country. Now, let me use this opportunity to talk to my former comrades, that's the police officers, especially those in anti-crime, those in PIU. If my stay in Gambia Police Force was 100 days, I spent about 95 days at the PIU building and the anti-crime. My best friends were the PIU officers. I play football with them. I do physical combat training with them. We brew attire together. Most of you are very gentle, very kind. What is portrayed outside is an institution of a command, and that's what the outsiders see. I wish they interact with a lot of you. They would have known how humble, how kind, and how generous a lot of you are. I am advising you, even where you are given command to execute orders, do it professionally and do it ethically. I mean, Gambia Police Force has benefited from a lot of training on crisis management and control. So there is no reason after all that training No reason at all that you can malhandle individuals who are on peaceful protest. Even when I was a police, I have argued very strongly that the government should consider individual responsibility. It should not just be about collective responsibility. Because I mean, sometimes collective responsibility is even unfair. Now, for example, if we are going to really criticize everybody in the Gambia police force right now for what is happening, decisions that they have not taken, decisions that they don't know, decisions that some of them don't even influence, decisions that were influenced and taken by the IGP, even when some junior officer who investigated this whole matter and advised the IGP to issue permit and he refused. If we're going to use collective responsibility on things like this, then it is not fair. So as young officer, you should be careful. There is something called individual responsibility. If you fail in your responsibility to execute your duty professionally and ethically without causing physical harm or without abusing people, you'll be subjected to individual responsibility. And I've always prayed for that day when we will sue individuals, whether they are in police institution or any other government institution, where we will sue them individually for the crimes they have committed willfully on their own accord. The decisions to overreact just to please your masters, as it has always been demonstrated by the DIG in the past and even present, should stop. If I were President Barrow today, I would take one of the biggest decision to sanitize that police institution, to give opportunity to young people. Maybe that will be the end of all these allegations and accusations and frustrating young officers, accusing them to belong to political parties and frustrating them, reporting them to governors, going to Security Council and reporting them to, vice presidents, frustrating them until they have to find their way out of that institution. I'm speaking because I love that institution. And my love and affection for that institution has no bounds. And for every day, when I think about it, I always have the feeling that my work with that institution has not ended. It's just a pause. I feel someday, somehow, I don't know, my work with that institution will continue. So guys, comrades, stop abusing the rights of the citizens. Stop malhandling citizens that are innocent. You see what these people are fighting for? They are fighting for you and I, for all of us. Jammeh's assets are national assets. They belong to the Gambian people. The manner in which they were sold was inappropriate and it must be investigated. So when concerned people come out to fight for that, they are fighting for recovery of billions. Probably billions that will be added to our national treasury. Probably an amount that could in fact benefit us either in asset or even salary increment. You see, comrades, these people that you have arrested and detained, they have no political affiliation. They are not looking for the head of the president. They are not there to cause violence in the country. They were there to stand for accountability and transparency, comrade. That's what they are doing. And that is why they needed your protection. You should just be there to protect them so that they are not harmed, so that they don't destroy properties. That's your responsibility, comrades. But when you harm them, you're harming your own brothers. I know a lot of PIU officers will be listening to this and be like, this is exactly the same thing that he has been telling us when he was here in the force. I repeat, I spend almost all my time in PIU office and talking to these people because I feel that's the only way. What we have in the police force as a security sector reform agenda is not to change the uniforms or the hats or the stations or the ranks. It's to change the mindset and the orientation. They need orientation. I was there, so I know. They need orientation. A lot of them need orientation. A lot of them are hardworking. A lot of them are brave. A lot of them are well-trained. A lot of them are ready to confront any adversity. And I'm telling you this for free. But a lot of them need education. A lot of them need orientation. So comrade, this dialogue is going to continue now, on and on. Because what we need to do is to protect our brothers, which means protecting ourselves, but not to harm them. For as long as the IGP remains appointed by the president, we must understand that his decisions are going to be politically influenced. And therefore, we must use our own discretion, even where we are authorized and commanded to carry out a duty. We must be wise and cautious on how to carry out that duty very professionally and very ethically. Man, comrade, we could have handled this issue without causing harm. The malhandling on Ibrahima Jallo, the way he was dragged on that concrete in Banyan could have been avoided. Comrades, the way we put them in the vehicle could have been avoided. And I know you can do this. I don't know any other person, but I trust